Yeah. Oh, here he is. Okay. I'm gonna put you on speaker
Okay, you can keep it.
so you can hear. Okay.
All right. So,
Okay, Bob, Art, speak Art.
You what?
Okay, good, we can hear you.
All right, good.
All
You
right.
got the language there, Nicole, for the remote?
yes, I do. Thank you. So it is now 7 o'clock. The meeting of the Pembroke Conservation Commission, the May 1st meeting of the Pembroke Conservation Commission is now open. So please note that this meeting is being made available to the public through a video and audio broadcast on Comcast Government Access Channel for broadcast at future dates. Comments made in open session will be recorded. So all parties are participating, well, not all parties, excuse me. Some of our parties are participating via remote participation in accordance with the requirements of 940 CMR 29.10 via audio conferencing. Well, it would be technically our phone. And all votes during this meeting will be made via roll call.
Oh, we didn't give him the
So,
thumbs up.
I'm sure, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
7. So, so let's roll call open the meeting.
Rick Madden.
Gino Fellini. Art,
Oh, this is
Nicole Pelletier.
Jim Campbell.
Bob Clark Senior.
All right, so we're all unanimous here, opening the meeting. So we're now going to be moving into the reorganization of the commission, and in doing so, I would like to say a few words. I want to first thank the Pembroke Conservation Commission for their longstanding dedication to the open spaces and natural resources of our town. It has been a pleasure to be your chair this year. For those that may be unaware, the Pembroke Conservation Commission is tasked with protecting natural resources under the Wetlands Protection Act, as well as our own local bylaw. The commission is supported by a conservation agent and our administrative conservation agent in a joint effort to protect resource areas of ecological sensitivity. These resources, while seemingly abundant, do not come with a guarantee and are subject to innumerable challenges which may or may not be controllable by mankind. Without our supporting staff, protection would be confined to the volunteers at this table. So I must express gratitude to Mr. Wandell and Mr. Clark for their contributions to our community. On a more serious note, I would like to stress the importance of protection under the Wetlands Protection Act. The protection of bordering vegetative wetlands, most specifically, have become a matter of prevalence in recent times. Often referred to as nature's kidneys, bordering vegetative wetlands provide natural water quality improvement, carbon cycling, flood control, and habitat for both native and non-native species. The buffer zones just beyond these areas are also important as they promote site stabilization, site stabilization, and they mitigate the potential risk of adverse impacts to our town's resources. And they are also a place of refuge for vulnerable wildlife. The Wetlands Protection Act was created to protect nature because nature cannot speak for itself. So with this being said, I move that we open the nominations for chair. Do I have a second?
Second.
roll call.
Roll call. Sorry,
Rick
excuse me.
Madden. Second.
Gino Fellini.
Oh, this is aye.
All right, I made the motion. Nicole Pelletier made the motion.
Jim Campbell.
Bob Clark.
All right, so we are unanimously opening up the nominations for chair. So I move that we nominate for the role of chair Mr. Gino Fellini, a commissioner that exemplifies with rigor a great compassion for nature in the interests of our community at large. Do we have?
Rick Madden. Second.
Okay, so, this is just procedural. That's all your nominations for chair, correct?
Oh, yes,
Okay, great.
There are no other nominations.
unless, of course, is there anybody else
Nope.
that would like?
Okay, now you need to make a motion to close the nomination for chair.
Okay, so make a motion to close for the nomination of chair. Nicole Pelletier.
Good.
So we vote now.
Motion.
So now we're voting to
Mo-
close the nomination.
Motion to close.
Motion to close. Aye.
Yep.
Rick
Okay.
Madden. Aye.
Aye.
Gino Fellini, aye.
Jim Campbell. Aye.
Bob Clark,
Art?
Art, do we have you?
Yes, aye.
All
Okay,
right.
aye.
All right, so we have closed the nominations for chair. So,
So now it's up to me.
So
Up to you.
now that you've got a nomination for chair, you make a vote on the nomination.
Second.
So
oh, hold on, we gotta
I'm-
do a roll call.
there's a motion to have Gino become chair, and that needs to be seconded and
Oh,
voted.
okay.
I make the motion, or second your motion for Gino Fellini to be chair. Rick Madden.
Now you make the motion, and somebody got a
She
second.
seconded.
All right, Nicole Pelletier, second. I mean, no, I don't second, I made the motion.
Right, you made the motion,
Oh.
I
So
seconded
Nicole
it.
Pelletier makes
Okay.
the motion for
I
Gino
seconded.
Fellini to be the chair.
Roll call.
Evan seconds.
Okay, Rick
Art.
seconded the motion.
Yeah, Art Egerton.
Yes, aye.
Okay.
Well, did Gino Fellini, aye.
Jim Campbell, aye.
Roll clock out.
All right, so it's unanimous, and Mr. Fellini, take it
Oh.
away.
Okay,
Good luck to you.
now, okay.
One hard situation.
I'm opening up nominations for vice chair, and I make a motion to nominate
Okay, before you do
Bob
that,
Kenny.
you've made a motion to
To
open the
Open
nominations.
the nomination for
Right.
vice chair.
That needs to be seconded and
Second.
voted.
By Rick Madden.
Okay, now your roll call vote.
All in favor?
Aye, Rick Madden.
Aye, Gino Fellini. Aye.
Art Richardson, aye.
Nicole Pelletier, aye.
Jim Campbell, aye.
Roll clock out.
Okay.
Okay, and now that we have a unanimous decision,
Congratulations, Art.
Art?
Yeah, just congratulations, Art.
No, Bob Kenny,
I mean, Bob Kenny, I'm sorry.
yes. Okay, so
Okay, so
now
you've
we,
nominated Bob Kenny to be vice chair.
Vice chair.
vice chair,
Okay.
now we have to close.
Right, any other nominations for
hearing.
vice chair?
Are there any other nominations?
Okay.
No.
Now someone can make a motion to close the nominations for vice chair.
Motion to close the nomination for Bob Kenny for vice chair.
I need a
Rick
second.
Madden, aye. All right, second.
You second it, and Rick Madden, aye. Gino Fellini, aye. Art,
Art Richardson, aye.
Nicole Pelletier, aye.
Jim Campbell, aye. I only have to second it with one person.
All right.
Okay, now vote. Vote.
no,
Bob,
we
you nominated him,
closed, it. We voted for him.
We close.
and you closed it. Now
Yeah.
you're gonna vote for him.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Rick Madden, aye.
Gino
Someone make a
Fellini,
motion.
the motion is made to accept Bob Kenny as vice chair.
Okay, need a second.
All in favor, roll call.
Rick Madden, aye.
Gino Fellini, aye. Art,
Art Richardson, aye.
Nicole Pelletier, aye.
Jim Campbell, aye.
Roll clock out.
Okay, good.
okay, now we have to close.
You already did close the
Yeah.
nomination.
Oh, we closed before we did that.
You're
You
good.
close before you vote.
You're all good.
Okay, how did we get through this before? All right, so we got that out of the way, and we are ready to,
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment? I'd like to thank the board that, chair and vice chair that have just finished serving for all they've done for the last term.
Absolutely.
well, thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
You guys have done well.
Thank you very much. Okay, public hearing. It is about 8 past. Notice of intent for 25 Little Brook Road. It's been continued from March 6, 2025 and April 3rd, 2025. It's to construct a new single-family dwelling with associated site grading utilities, driveway, septic system within 100 feet of the bordering vegetated wetlands, and a DEP number 056-1119. And since our last meeting, we have an update on the plans. The house itself has been downsized, and as of 4/15/2025. So, are you ready, Mr. Wetty?
Yes.
Please state your name and who you work for.
Which one are you doing?
25, yep. And 25 was in your packets with the update, and it's on the table before you if you want to take a closer look, maybe a little easier for you to look at as it's a much larger size.
Thank you.
Joe Webby, Webby Engineering, and with me also is Greg Mahoney. He would like to purchase the lot at, known as 25 Little Brook Road. We were here 2 months ago, and then a month ago, we had, it was suggested we try to scrunch this house up a little bit to keep it out of the 50-foot, and we kind of do on this one here, we're just, we're 3 feet into it at this spot here, but basically, we can meet the setback, the zoning setbacks, and we would basically like to get an approval on this lot.
Okay, so we pretty much have discussed the situation with it being in the, not in the resource area, but the buffer zone. And there's plenty of houses in the town, pretty much all of them around all the ponds that are in the buffer zone. And a lot of the houses in the same area are similar. You're gonna have markers at the 25-foot distance from the resource area, which is the wetlands. It's a no-go zone. You increase the backyard on both lots, but
Yes.
we're talking about this one first. I don't see any reason why we can't get a motion to close unless somebody has a comment
I
here.
have a comment. Were you just talking about setbacks, so that's showing on the plan, or is that something we need to put in our orders?
I'm sorry, Bob, what was that again?
You were just talking about the setbacks being a little different and all. Is that all on your plan?
Yes, it is. Yeah, this is the plan we revised in,
Revised plan.
yes,
Okay,
April 15th, yes.
So,
Joe, you were presenting, you have your plan, you know what's on that. Is there something that's not on that that we should be putting in our orders directly?
I think we have everything. We have the septic systems up front, we have the driveway in, we also have the post at the 25-foot, no disturb. We're proposing to put up a silt sock that's 10-inch, I believe it's 10-inch.
Yeah.
Yes. All along during construction.
Silt sock, I think I'd like to see at least 12.
12-inch, that's fine, we'll go with 12-inch
We can do
silt
it 12,
socks.
sure.
Yeah, we'll put that in the conditions.
On site visit, there were a lot of dying or dead trees, leaners that were not within the area that was supposed to be disturbed, but obviously are going to be problems. Will we discuss that as they come about, or deal with it now?
Well, we can always deal with the age, and if we have to cut something
Right.
else,
Because there are some dangerous trees,
sure.
you know, and don't want to put a guy's house in danger.
I
So,
believe that maybe we want to put some, in the orders that the trees that are dangerous, once they're considered dangerous by the agents or agent, that they can be taken down
yeah,
for
Perfect.
safety purposes.
yep.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
I want to say a couple of things. So
Okay.
I just want to acknowledge the fact that, this entire area was subdivided previously, and this parcel was not developed. And I have reason to believe that that was for a reason. And I guess, with consideration of water storage in the soil and just ensuring that there isn't any sort of, water that travels off of this site as opposed to being something that's provided storage by a wetland buffer area. I guess maybe just use discretion with removing the trees in the process, just because the trees also provide
Right.
a source of water
Habitat.
mitigation. Yeah, so, I guess, to say, hazardous trees are the ones that are truly hazardous
Right.
and not just, while they're, like, obviously, within the confines of the actual project itself, you do have to remove trees. But, just,
Yeah, there were a couple of real
Conservatively.
heavy leaners that.
Are you
need to be
concerned about
addressed, you know?
erosion?
I'm concerned about site stability, I'm concerned about erosion, and I'm concerned about water storage and infiltration.
Well,
And habitat,
water
not every
storage.
dead tree is a bad tree, they're just.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if they're leaners though, and they're endangering the site or people, they definitely should be addressed.
Yeah, like hazardous, like safety
Yeah,
concerns
that are
make
gonna
sense.
fall on the guy's
But-
house.
Yeah.
I believe we want to make sure that we apply our tree cutting and replacement
Exactly.
regulation or whatever on this lot, so that whatever trees come down, we replant something within the lot or within the immediate decision at the agent's.
Be a little difficult for an understory, unless there's an open area for a tree to grow.
Well, they can donate to the tree fund.
Yeah.
Voluntarily,
Okay.
yeah.
That's just a big nutrition. As far as the lots here, part of why some of these lots are not built on is, this was a family area, so you pick and choice. The top one got the best lot they wanted, it went down, they finished picking, now there's 2 lots left. Not necessarily that they weren't, whatever said they weren't good lots, they weren't as good as other lots in this area.
I don't want to get into like a discussion about something that's outside of our jurisdiction, but I just think that maybe then they would have been larger lots that have those protected areas on them as opposed to being separate lots. So I just kind
Okay.
of, like, I understand, but, I don't want to go down that road.
All right, Bob, one quick question. What do you have in mind for a tree fund allotment? They're clearing the lot to build a house
Well, we had.
in the
we
buffer
had-
zone.
We had said at one time, but it's never all been written down, so it's only hearsay records that if you're doing a whole lot, then $100 to the tree fund would cover for
Right.
what is necessary to build on the lot. Anything beyond what is necessary falls under 301.
All right, you agree to a
Yes, we do.
$100
I just asked Greg, he's fine with this.
No problem.
tree allotment? Okay. Any other questions by the board? No. I'll open discussion for the public. If you have anything,
They have
Yes.
to come up, they have to come up.
please come up, state your name and your address.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so my name is Robert Fogarty. I received the notice of intent for 25 Little Brook Road. I'm a direct abutter at number 19 on the northeast side, which would be the right side facing. My home was built in '87. I am the second occupant there, and I have reviewed the proposed sanitary system plans from Webby. My concerns, the majority of the plans are inside the 100-foot buffer zone. The proposed structure is within the 50-foot buffer zone. And I was there when the commission did a site walk, so I know most of you saw it, correct? Okay.
That's right.
I mean, it's my understanding that anything built in the buffer zone will cause negative effects on the wetland, and that's why there is a Wetlands Protection Act, correct?
And that's why there was a buffer zone.
Okay, exists for a reason. I strongly oppose it. I think it's the duty of this commission to enforce the wetland law and not allow this to be built. I mean, what is the plan for the erosion in respect to the property? how many healthy trees are gonna be taken down? How will this affect my property in all phases of the construction? Where's the water gonna go? It already collects on my property. Am I gonna get more water? And I have photographs to show that, the board, if the commission wants to see. I appreciate Mr. Clark's narrative of the history of the street, but I think maybe he might have got some of that wrong. I do kind of know the lineage of the people who have lived there. The Sherman family was a prominent family that owned that road. They owned Ritchie Compass Company. And as a matter of fact, the home built by, the bill that built my home was, is now the building inspector here, or is it Berry?
George Ferry.
George Berry, right. He built my property and the property on the other side of 25. So I got to ask, why did he not build there? There had to be a reason. And the chair, Ms. Peltier, said, the house was built in the 70s and the 80s. And I knew everyone who lived there for 30 years, and that was not put up for privacy. It was put up because it was unbuildable 30 years ago.
Well,
Okay.
Pictures, we'd
That's
love
my
to see.
opinion.
if we're gonna get into zoning and all that,
That's my
we have
opinion.
nothing to do with that. So
This
that
is
isn't
my
in our
front yard
purview.
Last May. You can keep these photos, okay? This is my front yard.
Now, which,
Okay.
are you talking about 25 Little Brook
Adjacent to
on,
25, yes. I'm next to 25. There's more photos here. That's where you get a better look at it, because that is the water running from my property onto 25. I mean, it's also in a flood zone, in a 100-year flood zone, too, and that's, I don't know if that helps you at all either, but,
all right, we have nothing to do with zoning or anything. Ours is just strictly
understand that.
conservation. And
Okay.
as far as the bylaws go and Wetlands Protection Act
okay.
rules,
I've read the
it complies.
DCR memo from Brad Holmes dated on 10/26/24. And we're in the middle of a drought when that was taken, probably the second most severe drought in the recorded history of Massachusetts. So I do question that. I think at the very least, there should be a peer review on that, because I've watched Mr. Holmes in other meetings, and to quote him, he said, "We always set them further," meaning further from where the wet zones were first determined. And that's about it. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Foley, where's your property in relation to this? This is Little Brook. Are you on this side, I guess, to the east, or?
That's 25, correct? So I am here.
Okay.
Okay, and that,
Well, how far is the wetlands in your backyard
how far is it? You mean in distance?
distance?
Okay, so in the area, that photo that I showed you, that it has the pond in front of my yard, okay, that's about 25 by 20, which is about 6 inches deep, and that was taken last May. So there's also a 12-inch pipe underneath my driveway that goes into those areas that I'm showing you. I would say that trench is about 40 feet long, and it flows directly
And
into.
where does the pipe lead to?
It leads
Silver
to
Lake.
the area where I showed you, where the snow cover is, onto.
Okay, so
onto
you have a
25.
pipe to drain that water, which
I'm assuming, because I'm the second owner, I don't know exactly where the pipe
Yeah.
is. I only know where it comes out. And where it comes out, it feeds into 25. I thought I had photographs of that there somewhere. Oh, I do. The smaller photographs, but that is the trench right there that goes from my property onto 25. That is a trench that I constantly have to keep clean to keep the water out of.
Okay.
Here it is, there's a better look at it. These were taken,
Do you want to see these, Rick?
these were taken in December.
Yep. Look at that, it's a space.
So your house is basically built in the
Here's
wetlands
here's
as well.
another.
Thank you.
There it is, a
That's
more
it's
recent.
downgrade a bit from,
I had the dates on the
I
back.
saw that when we were on site.
And you're welcome to
Right.
keep it.
Wow.
Repeat what you just said, please. Gino just made a comment.
Looks like a nice stream,
Yeah.
nice flow of water.
So commission can keep those for the record.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for
I have a
those.
comment.
okay.
Art, what's?
Anybody,
Art has a comment.
Go ahead.
I was surprised that the peer review on that too. It sounds like it's very questionable and it's near the drinking water supply. I would feel better having somebody taking a look at it.
What do you say?
Art,
said
could you
he-
repeat that? Sorry.
Yes, I would support having a peer review on that because it's close to a drinking water supply and it's in the wetlands. And so I think it would be best to have someone check it out and report back to us.
He's saying that he would feel more comfortable with a peer review.
It being a Class A reservoir that it runs into.
Yeah, Class A reservoir that
Mhm.
is at the base of that.
Right.
I'd be more concerned if we could be getting the neighborhood to use non-aggressive chemicals in their care and custody of their own properties,
I think
like
if we,
going organics around these areas.
I don't think it calls for a peer review,
You know,
no.
I personally am also in support of peer review, just given the evidence that was presented to us, because it appears that there are areas that aren't indicated on the plan that we need to acknowledge, that will provide us a better picture of what we're dealing with. And being in a FEMA flood zone, it's just, it's a risk. It's a risk to build in a FEMA flood zone and have unchecked water running through a property, because that's the site stability thing. We need site stability and we can't ensure that. Not that it's like, that's up to the building department, but
and we only get one chance.
Okay,
I think I heard you say that something about the present house of Mr. Fogarty's would be in the buffer zone if, under conditions as they are. Is that what I heard you say? You thought it would be.
Right, that they
Thought it
both
would
would
be.
be in the same boat, basically.
say what?
That both properties would be in the same boat as far as the water retention and distribution of.
Well, one's on a slope,
We're talking about the neighbor to the other who is downgrade from 25.
well, I believe we probably also want to, we have to focus on this specific hearing and then move on. I mean, we have them both in
Yeah.
tandem, right, Andy? So it's like we can essentially discuss both properties.
Yeah, but you haven't opened them up concurrently, so.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I don't
do
think
we have
they're-
additional public comment?
For the other properties, they don't
Yeah.
have to combine or not.
We want to make sure
All
that
right.
you have your voice with respects to the other property as well. So, I guess, that being said, we want to make a decision
All right.
about this one.
so, do,
You
do,
can do
Appears
that,
to me
yeah.
that we're having water on whatever lot we're talking about.
Yeah,
Coming from the neighbor's yard through a man-made trench. In other words, his water
Yeah,
is going on
maintained.
the lot we're discussing. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. I'm asking these questions. Is this true what we're hearing, or is it not true, or?
And there's other people that want to discuss open comment as well.
yeah,
All
but
right.
that's with respects to the other property.
do we,
Oh, it is? Oh, really? Okay, please. I'm sorry.
do we have a motion on the table for,
Not yet, because we
Yeah,
have
there's
no
still open
additional
comment
public
with
comment.
the public.
all right,
Hi, I'm Linda Fogarty. I live at 19 Little Brook, and my neighbors couldn't be here tonight, and they live next door to me, but they wanted me to present a letter.
Of course. Thank you. Trying to grab my chair. Thank you. Of course, yes, of course.
Can you hear me?
If my thumb will work.
Good. Excess water. Water supply. Okay. Mosquitoes. Okay. Well, we're either gonna close or we're gonna order a peer review.
What are we trying to establish with a peer review?
What is the what?
What are we establishing? What are we ask, in other words, if we send
I
a
don't-
peer review
yeah.
out there, what are we sending them out there to look at? At the wetlands, at what, I mean, he has to have some direction, it isn't just go out and look at the lot and make a decision of what you.
So,
To
no-
identify the perceived impacts of the project from the standpoint of just the ecology that exists there.
What,
Under those conditions, though, you could probably say no to every lot, because every lot
Well-
could be considered. a
what,
potential.
what is building a house on that lot gonna cause the water level to do on somebody else's property? Is it, it's all connected in the back somehow. So if that house isn't in the wetlands and they moved it 5 more feet away, so it's, now what, 47 feet away, 25 Little Brook, how is that gonna determine the water level in the wetlands? That's why I don't see it as requiring a peer review.
But then that begs the issue of, are we approving this project? Because we have a letter here from an abutter who's in a similar set of circumstances with their house being placed in relation to the wetlands and within the buffer zone, if I'm not mistaken, correct? And they're indicating that they have to use 2 oversized, fully functioning sump pumps to ensure that water is not, entering their basement. So,
So they're pumping off surface water.
yeah, so there's water storage in the upper topography
That
of that
already
soil.
causes issues in people's cellars.
And we observed that on site too. There were redoxamorphic features.
If you go into the history of that road and adjacent roads running somewhat parallel to that road through that whole area there, they all have a potential water problem in their cellar because of a groundwater that's traveling above a impervious layer
Of
from
clay.
there all the way down to Silver Lake and dumping into Silver Lake, and it can be traced very easily when the lake is down. You can see it.
Yeah,
It's a continuous run from the wetlands that are up beyond there, down through the area. In one of the subdivisions, there is for a lack of a better terminology, a big French drain down the side
Yep.
from lot 1 all the way down to the pond that was put in when the subdivision was constructed, just to get rid of that layer of overland water that ran above the layer of impervious.
yeah.
So if we were to have a peer review, we would want them to solicit or seek evidence for the performances of the project as it's proposed. So we'd want them to speak to the systems that are being proposed and how contamination would not be of a concern.
What systems?
Sorry.
I'm the applicant.
You mentioned systems.
Yeah, so
Well,
like
there's
just.
a 12-inch pipe, they said there's people pumping water
Yeah.
with sump pumps.
And we're
There's,
talking about the systems of a home, we're talking about the removal of soil to place an impervious surface, which is a home, in that area. But we have additional public comment that we have to continue.
Hi, Greg Maroney, the applicant. I heard the gentleman say that his water's running onto this property, so am I missing something?
That's what I was asking you about,
What's the problem? He's got the problem, his water's running on this property, not this property running onto his. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not even going in the ground that deep, because that thing slopes down so much. That house is not gonna be going in the ground, it's gonna be probably right on the ground level back there. So we'll dig it out, put a frost wall in, backfill the frost wall. That floor is gonna be like looking right out on the back ground level that's existing.
Yeah, I saw.
We're not gonna be disturbing anything.
No, because it would be sitting in a puddle if you did.
Right, all right, it's gonna be up
Exactly.
higher than
Yeah.
that's out there.
Right, so-
Now,
So
we're gonna be bringing up the elevation a little bit.
I do just
And
want to
his
answer.
water's running onto this property, which maybe he should get a peer review on what's going on his property.
Well, I think,
I mean, this property doesn't have any impact on
just
his.
to be clear, I think you're talking about stormwater, right?
Which is beyond us.
year-round groundwater.
I know, but
Which
groundwater
Andy
is
is very
below the ground.
familiar with.
Yeah, if you want-
That originates by stormwater, right?
Right.
Rain.
Not stormwater as sheets flow, it's stormwater that has been absorbed into the ground and running.
Okay, so there's that kind of stormwater, and there's also the stormwater that comes off the house, right? When it rains, into drains,
Yeah,
into gutter systems. That's something that happens with the construction of a house. I'm just trying to get to where your peer review would go. So talking about water on a site, I know that the water needs to stay on the site. Stormwater always has to be designed to stay on the site where it can, okay? If you're talking about underground stormwater, that's a different animal. As the water table rises and moves around, it's a bit of a different animal. But any stormwater that happens on a property is supposed to stay on the property.
that's right.
Now, this street was not constructed as a subdivision, all right? So these are Form A lots. They're not subject to approval under subdivision rules and regs, where you have a lot of stormwater. So, and really the stormwater issues are outside of your jurisdiction. As far as the buffer zone is concerned, it's very important to note that the Wetlands Protection Act allows work in the 100-foot buffer zone. And it is the discretion of the board as to how far in the buffer zone they will allow work to occur. But there are many homes in Pembroke that are within 20 feet, some are within 2 feet of the line. So a precedent has been set
Yep.
for many years where homes have been built in the buffer zone, and they comply with the Wetlands Protection Act, even though they're in the buffer zone. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, I guess, can I speak to precedent just real quick? So a lot of this precedent that everybody keeps referring back to, I mean, a lot of the homes that were built in Pembroke predate the Wetlands Protection Act as a promulgation. So it's like, to use precedent as the ongoing example here, it doesn't apply to the current laws that are in place. So when I speak to stormwater, I'm not speaking about stormwater that's outside of our jurisdiction. I'm talking about how it's our overarching responsibility to protect the functions and values of the wetlands that are in place there. So the other, I guess, like, to the contrary of my own personal apprehensions and concerns, this project has been modified in such a way that it's to the maximum extent practicable for that site. In spite of the fact that it's within the buffer zone and there's nothing we can do about it, it's, they're doing the best that they can with what they have, as far as I can see.
And what they have is basically non-drainage issues on clay layers that hold water, whether it comes from the sky, a gutter, or a neighbor's yard onto your yard at this point, which is what's going on already.
As Andy said, storm management isn't in our purview.
That's what I explained.
we-
No matter where the water comes from, it's got an inherent issue that these are wet lots. They're damp, they're wet.
to, can they, please,
Have to come
wait,
up front,
wait till
please.
he's done,
Yeah.
please.
You was describing before the Wetlands Protection Act. You guys approved several houses, 5 houses at Copperwood Road.
I didn't.
Yeah,
Well, maybe you didn't, but the board did.
That-
And they were all within 100 feet of the buffer zone,
Yeah.
inside the 100-foot buffer zone.
That's
The
right.
total house. And those are big houses. I'm only putting up a little crackerjack box.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other thing was, one of the houses, 28 Copperwood Drive, or Road, whatever it's called, the whole house is in the 50-foot buffer zone.
Yep,
And it's 2 feet off the wetlands line. And that was just recently.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's fair.
So
Bring up a good.
I'm well
recent
beyond
precedent.
that.
all right.
And that's the reason why you come to these meetings for a notice of intent, is because you're in the 100-foot buffer zone. You don't come to these meetings if you're outside the 100-foot buffer zone.
No.
That's the whole premise of this meetings.
That whole place was engineered for that and brought up so that they could have those lots. And I think what we have to be sure of is that we're not putting water onto somebody else's land, because what's going on here is people coming into this, they're digging trenches there. I think that's all not a good thing that you have to do in your neighborhood. That something
No,
went wrong.
absolutely. I
Something went
agree.
wrong, and we
Okay.
should try to make it so it doesn't aggravate the already conditions that are there. That's what I'm.
All right.
I think
Yeah,
we're
no,
getting
One
I-
more
at.
comment.
That's why we're here.
You
That's
know.
exactly why I'm here.
I had a question
Thank
for
you.
Andy.
And
Last
there's one
question, too.
more lady wants to come up.
I just wanted to mention about the pipe that's on our property, 19 Little Brook. I believe that, I was told that the pipe was in order of conditions, and that when they built on it.
So there's an easement
That-
on your property for that pipe from the town? Do they maintain it? Who maintains it? What is there?
Don't know.
Nobody knows?
We're
Mr.
just here
Berry would
to,
know, because he's the one who built it.
we're just here to approve
Okay, no, I just
the
wanted, you
one,
talked about the
one
pipe, and it
lot,
wasn't.
and we're way
Okay.
behind.
No, I just wanted to make a comment that,
But that was, that was installed under an order of condition. Okay.
yeah.
It was the town.
But, I mean, you'd probably have a record of that, but that's
Yeah.
what I was told.
It'd be better to have the
you.
record, but thank you
Tyler,
so
one,
much.
just one more, that's it.
Hi, my name is Taylor Sears. I live on 38 Little Brook Road. I bought the 32 Little Brook Road property. I bought the house directly from Paul Sherman. When buying the house, I've lived there now for about 12 years. He discussed the whole street with me, the history behind the street, how it was built, how the lots were separated between his daughter, other family members, etc. There was actually the stream that runs behind my house, the active stream, used to curl into 32 Little Brook Road. And he actually, rumor has it,
Oh, boy.
moved that stream. So that stream actually did a bend into 32 Little Brook Road. And then now goes behind my house. And that stream, I've seen that stream actually move as much as 5 feet in some spots just in 12 years, so. It is an evolving stream,
All right, well,
that's all.
Thank you.
thank you.
One more thing there.
Okay, this is one.
This isn't the third time I've been here. I had to put off surgery
Yeah.
to come here, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to say
Go
what I
ahead.
have to say.
Go ahead.
Okay? This hasn't even been approved yet, so make me understand why heavy equipment was brought in to both those properties and vegetation was knocked down.
We're not aware of that, and we're just here to
People
approve
People were
what we
there
have in
at the
front
site
of us.
visit.
Isn't that
And
a
it was-
perk
it-
test? That's what you do? You
Perk
put a
test,
perk
yeah.
test
Yeah, the
in,
perk test.
and that's permitted and paid for to understand the geology of the soil and what is there.
To knock down trees and vegetation to do
Well,
a
if
perk
you have to
test.
get a piece of equipment in to do that, that's what they do. They don't plant them when they drive in.
Okay.
There was a question, is there approval to do that, to get the perk test? How's that, what's that go?
Yeah, it goes to the town.
Goes to the Board of Health.
Yeah, you get permits for it.
All right, do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close. Rick Madden.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
You gotta do a
Aye.
roll call vote, Gino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
just-
that's right.
Just for closing, Rick Madden, aye.
Gino Fellini, aye. He's gone.
I do not agree.
Or just closing?
Is it
We're
an
just
aye or
voting
no?
on closing, right?
Just closing the public
We're
hearing.
just voting on closing.
I disagree.
Okay, so then we're just voting on closing, that's all we're doing right now.
But if, once we close, we can't change anything that's been said, and can't add to it.
Right.
Jim Campbell, aye.
12 o'clock, aye.
Yeah, he's gone. Okay. The ayes have it. And
They were closed.
Right, now
we're
we
closed, and motion for conditions. What has been discussed, and the only thing that I would like to see is a post at 25-foot maintained, and if it can use organic fertilizer in that area, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yep.
And
That's
if anybody
something
else,
we used to have in our cover part that went with every order that we signed, that fertilizers and all that stuff.
It's in there, yeah.
Still in there.
yeah, like no high nitrates.
In other words, yeah, that the order to just have the cover letter covering our subjects.
Fertilizers used for landscaping and lawn care in the buffer zone shall be slow release, low nitrogen types. Pesticides and herbicides shall not be used on any lawn area within the buffer zone.
That's what to be the
Sounds
whole
good.
lot, basically, from these points.
and
What about rodenticides?
12-inch silt socks, and anything else, anybody?
There was the tree.
Accurate tree count.
Tree
The,
removal,
yep.
Basically, the
So it's anything that is included that we discussed, which would be the $100 for the tree fund.
And then anything outside that would be per tree. And be discussed whether they could come down or not. They wouldn't just take them down, they'd have to come back and determine it was a hazardous tree.
Well, hazardous trees, they, whatever they can do.
We still
Okay,
accountable.
do I have a motion? And
Have a motion to,
that was the motion,
okay,
so
and
second.
second the
No,
motion, Rick
roll.
Madden.
You, roll call. Rick,
You repeat
yeah,
the motion,
we're repeating it. So,
is the motion basically build?
we already made it.
The plan with the
Exactly.
stipulations?
That's right. Okay, yep.
Basically a -3.
Okay, yeah, we already made the motion, and we voted, we didn't vote on it yet, did we? We
No, you
voted
need a roll
second.
call vote.
Roll call vote. Rick?
Rick Madden, aye.
Gino Fellini, aye.
Nicole Pelletier, no.
Jim Campbell, aye.
12 o'clock, aye.
Okay.
Okay, the ayes have it, and this is DEP number SE 056-1119, 25 Little Brook Road. Done, okay.
So your next
So,
hearing is 32.
32 Little Brook Road, notice of intent. DEP number 056-1120, similar to 25 Little Brook. Construction of a new single-family dwelling with associated site grading, utilities, driveways, septic systems within 100 feet of the bordering vegetated wetlands. And also an update on the plan, and the size of the house has been downgraded, and there's an extra 5 feet from the wetlands. And
Joe
Go ahead,
Webby,
Mr.
Webby
Webby.
Engineering, and with me is Greg Maroney. This is a lot, a vacant lot known as 32 Little Brook Road, and there is a wetland in the backyard that Brad Holmes delineated as a bordering vegetated wetland, and we have our 25 no-touch, the 50-foot, and then the 100. And you can see, we're going to be a little bit of the, well, it's maybe a third of the house would be within the, between the 25 and the 50, and the closest to the wetland is 37 feet. We've taken this house and we've brought it down to 18 feet wide at that level and 40 feet off the road, which is the zoning bylaw. So we've pretty well scrunched it down.
Okay, so we have a similar situation. This one's a little closer, but it's basically all the same. They have the right to build. Do we have any questions from, any questions from the board?
I don't have any questions. I think we need
Okay,
to.
well, we already pretty much talked about
Well, you
everything,
may want
and
to
we
open it. because
ran
you've had-
way over.
Because you've
so-
continued this
We're not
twice
on the
without
timeline.
public comment, you probably should open it up to public comment and limit it to a time.
Very well. Anybody have comment on this hearing?
Public comment.
Not hearing any.
I'd
I,
like to move that we include anything on this lot that we included on the previous handled lot.
Okay.
All right, we
so
have to close
you-
first,
You
though.
need to close the public hearing. Do you want any other discussion?
I don't
no.
think we need any more, it's basically the same.
All right, motion to close.
Second?
All in favor, roll call vote.
Rick Madden, aye.
Gino Fellini, aye.
Nicole Pelletier, no.
Jim Campbell, aye.
Oh, clock eye.
The ayes have it.
Now you
And
need a motion for.
motion for conditions.
I move that we issue the same conditions and type as the previous lot.
Second.
Roll call.
Rick Madden, second.
Gino Fellini, aye.
Nicole Pelletier,
Aye, you
no.
mean.
Jim Campbell, aye.
Oh, clock eye.
Very well. The ayes have it. Please note that any person aggrieved by this decision has the right of appeal within 10 business days. Please contact our office or DEP if you need assistance. And that also goes for 25 and 30 Little Brook. Done. Okay.
Thank you, folks.
We,
Thank you very much.
okay. We're running a little late for the next hearing. It's a request for determination of applicability and RDA for Oldham Street, Center Street, water systems improvement by the town of Pembroke. And it's to replace 3,300 linear feet of existing 8-inch unlined cast iron water main with new 8-inch ductile iron water main on Oldham Street and a parallel abandonment of approximately 2,000 linear feet of existing 8-inch unlined cast iron on Center Street. And please state your name.
William Henderson, here with
Company.
Apex Companies LLC. I'm speaking on behalf of the Town of Pembroke Water Department.
Thank you.
Just get this last leg out here. Come on,
We
buddy.
got an engineer.
There we go. Get some friction in there, she's okay. All righty. So I've already stated my name here, and here for the request of determination of applicability for the Oldham Street and Center Street water system improvements. So let me go over a quick project overview. I'll also be talking about the scope of work and the water main installation methods. I'm going to be talking about the wetlands, the impacts to the wetland resource areas, and as well as our proposed environmental protection procedures. So to start off with the project overview, these are our two main project locations. We have a section here on Oldham Street, just to the west of Pine Tree Lane, and we're also going to be doing right out front here in Center Street, On Oldham Street, we're gonna be doing a new installation, a parallel installation, so the old main's gonna stay live while we put in the new main. And over here, most of this main has already been abandoned, and, well, let me finish off here. Most of this main, the existing main, has been abandoned. We're gonna be completing that abandonment and then switching over all the services to a 16-inch water main that has already been installed in that street. The project importance, this is here to improve water quality. Here's two examples. On the left here, you see an existing cast iron main with some tuberculation on the inside. That's what causes your brown water when they open up the hydrants and stuff like that. It's going to be replaced with a ductile iron with a cementitious lining, and that's going to prevent any buildup of tuberculation, and it's going to help with the flow quality as well for fire hydrant pressures.
Do they ream that out?
Oh, yeah.
Do they have a method to ream that old pipe out and then they install that liner?
No, we're not going to be putting in a liner. The new pipe that we're putting in the ground has that cementitious liner in it already.
Okay.
The existing pipe we're going to abandon in the ground. And I'll go over that too, is how we prevent voids from occurring. So we'll be doing a typical open trench water main installation and water main abandonment, where we're going to be capping or plugging the abandoned mains to prevent soil from flowing in there and creating voids on the surface. We'll also be doing the water service transfers from the old main to the new main, and fire hydrant installations as well. There's a section on Oldham Street where we're going to be cutting underneath a stone open bottom culvert, which has a temporary stream, or what is it called? Intermittent stream, yes. An intermittent stream. We're going to be using horizontal directional drilling with an HDPE pipe for about a 100-foot section to minimize any surface impact and keep us contained within the road as we excavate there. And also, we won't disturb the existing culvert.
We had a similar situation, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
That was,
Feeling
us,
bad.
that was us as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
except it's not a.
Yeah.
When we go through with the backfill, we're going to be compacting, and we're going to be requiring 95% compaction every 200 feet. The contractor's going to have a subcontractor come out to do that. Sweep and prep, and then we're going to do a temporary trench pavement. That's going to last the winter, give everything a chance to settle, and then they come back in the spring and they're going to do a complete mill and overlay, restoring everything to its original drainage patterns. Let me highlight the work that's going to be occurring in the wetland buffer zones. So on Oldham Street here, you can see this is actually a profile view of the HDD crossing. The intermittent stream crossing occurs right here. We are going to be within the 100-foot wetland buffer zone, and we're going to be setting up silt socks on the road to prevent any runoff from going into the wetlands as our work occurs.
Sorry, so far.
We're going to be using 12-inch silt stock with compostable material, biodegradable shells, and we're going to be staking them 5 feet on center. This wetland buffer zone kind of extends a little bit into Oldham, as you can see, but then the remaining work is well outside of the 100-foot buffer zone as the wetlands are further back in the properties of these adjacent houses. And this is also a high point of the project.
Okay.
As I'm going to show a picture of Center Street, but you'll notice there's no wetland buffer zones here that we're going to be encroaching. And those were determined by our wetland scientists who went out and flagged everything out before we started the designs. I'll go over the proposed environmental protection measures that we discussed. The driller is going to have a contingency plan. There's going to be visual monitoring of accessible areas in the entry and exit pits, the bore path, and the general drilling. We're going to be observing the general drilling for signs of a bentonite leak. Bentonite is a natural mineral that is used as a lubricant for drilling, and it's basically there to keep the pressure the same so that the drilling doesn't collapse in on itself.
Right.
As soon as that pressure drops, you know there's been a leak. You can stop the fight, stop the work. You monitor. You have a vac truck on site and in working order to immediately do the cleanup. And the driller is going to develop a frac out report, which will include time, the place, type of drilling fluid, and the action taken to minimize and stabilize the frac out site if one occurs.
No, it wasn't.
These are the filter socks 12-inch filter stocks with compostable medium, biodegradable shell, 5 foot on center stakeout. We're going to be having silt sacks in the catch basins as well. These are going to be checked and cleaned regularly, both by our RPR and the contractor. And in the event of a high rainfall, we'll be removing the drainage can go on. In the event that we find water in the trench and we need to pump it out, it's going to be pumped out through a dewatering bag. Effectively, it's the same thing as the silt sacks in the catch basins, and all that flow is going to be directed back into the river. So, project summary, we're going to have a pre-construction meeting, which you're all invited to attend. Our environmental protection controls will be in place prior to construction, and once they're in place, you'll be notified so you can come out and inspect. Then we'll be installing approximately 3,200 feet of the 8-inch water main on Oldham, and that's going to be followed by the service switchovers on Center Street. And then in the spring, we'll have the 1.5-inch full width mill and overlay, and when that's all done, we'll remove our environmental protection measures. Any questions?
Would you mind flipping to the initial slide that shows the entire area of service that you would be performing?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Is this going to be down the middle of the road?
No, it's going to be off
A trench off to the side?
It's in the road.
In the
It's
road.
in the lane of travel. It's on the south lane of travel
Okay.
in Oldham Street.
Yeah,
But
well,
closer to the edge.
it's in the road.
It's in the road, not outside the road.
And this
Okay.
is Pine Tree Lane to the Hanson line?
This is Pine Tree Lane to about 450 feet west of Shore's Edge, because I believe that's already been replaced with PVC. We're just going to connect to that.
Okay.
And all the culverts will be protected with a 12-inch silt sock?
Correct.
Okay.
Any area where we're inside the wetland buffer zone, we're going to be having silt socks completely
Yeah.
perimeter in our work.
Now, are you meaning your company,
Yeah.
the engineers on site or not?
We will have an RPR on site, a resident project engineer or representative. It's not an Apex person, but it's somebody we subcontract to, and then we'll be in direct communication with them. Me personally, I'll be in contact with the RPRs on site to make sure they're doing their job.
Those names, telephone numbers, emergency contacts, would you please supply a list to the Andy or someone in the conservation in case we need to?
Yeah, we typically do that, and we did it just on the last phase of this project as well. So we'll do the same thing this time.
Any other questions?
Not just directors, any problems that do
Well,
come up, like, we'd like to hear it before the public gets to us
Absolutely.
in our communication.
We'll do our best to expedite that.
and this is to you, but to Andy, will or can we make sure that people of Pembroke are aware when the road will be shut down?
Yes.
Because the detour is fairly lengthy.
Yes. Well, this is a DPW project, right? And they have an alert process that they go through for this. So that's part of their the whole thing.
Planning.
Yeah.
And then the RPR is the one that handles the paving, not that we handle paving, but like if there were any like bad spots that were subject to failure in the temporary.
Yeah, the DPW will be right on top of
Yeah,
that.
okay.
All right.
So, between, Dan Sullivan and Joe Diuti, they're on top of it.
Okay, anybody else?
I have one more question, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
So you do mention that it's, the pipe that you're abandoning is unlined, correct? So no asbestos, anything like that?
Correct, it's all
Okay.
cast iron.
All right, cool, just wanted to check that.
According to
Okay.
the records.
Public comment? Anybody?
Move it close.
Second.
Oh, we have to do roll call.
Roll call?
Do we have to? He's not on the phone any longer.
Oh, that's right. Well, he's not on.
Okay?
Sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
That's unanimous. And we have an RDA, so a -3 determination with any conditions. Bob, you want to handle that?
A negative determination with conditions as discussed this evening, in addition to what,
Right, and notification of construction meeting.
yeah, please.
And
construction meeting and when siltation barriers are installed, someone just to drive by and make sure
Yeah,
that.
no, that's the reason we go to the construction meeting.
Yeah.
And you will be notified when all the environmental protection measures have been put in place for an initial inspection before the work starts.
Yeah, like you said, when you may have rain, you may do groundwater, and
Motion.
there may be
So we need to
pumping
finish
going
closing
on
out
that
the
wasn't
motion,
planned,
and
but
then
is necessary.
If the change happens, we'll also
Exactly.
try and notify.
Now we have to do the determination.
Yeah. Okay, we don't have to do a roll call.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Disclaimer.
Yep.
Ayes have it.
Please note that any person aggrieved by this decision has a right of appeal within 10 business days. Please contact our office at DEP if you need assistance. All
Thank you
set.
very much.
Yep.
Happy replacing.
Okay. Moving on to another RDA, 85 High Street, applicant Michael Crowley.
Yeah, Kroll. Yep.
Crowley.
Kroll.
Crowell.
Yep. So you're making me Italian.
Kroll. Yeah.
Michael Kroll, 85 High Street. Request for application of determination applicability.
Okay, that plan is also before you
Yep.
here. Just so you have it, let me get that for you. And Mr. Kroll also added to that plan a couple of things that you'd like to see, specifically where the erosion and sediment controls are to be placed,
Great.
where the excavation will happen, what will be used with the excavated materials, and maybe you can talk a little bit about stockpiling the materials as well.
Sure.
If you want to bring your microphone over and point some things out
Oh,
on there, you're free to do so.
Yep. So the excavation will tie into the existing house, obviously, probably no more than 1,000 square feet. We end up being, I think, about 60 feet from the property boundary and more like 70 or 80 feet to the existing wetlands line. As far as the excavation, all the materials, we can repurpose those materials within the property. We're gonna need a ramp up to the foundation to pour concrete. And the balance of those materials will be used to re-level, regrade the front property. Yep. Hopefully keep the water pitched, keep the water within the property.
Okay. Anybody have any
And again,
questions?
I'm just, I know, according to what
Fine, my God.
when you move these materials someplace, you will keep them within a siltation barrier or some sort.
Yes, yeah, we're gonna draw, so I think the closest wetland mark around the corner towards the back of the house, we're gonna, right around down the side and right up to the front of the road.
No, I can't read the plan that well.
Yep. Oh, okay.
I don't know what, no,
Yeah,
that's fine, I don't know what.
No, so I can hold it up there.
Well, that's, yeah.
So basically, we can use the wattles and the silt fence, use both on this line as needed.
Now, when it comes to, we have been asking for and demanding that wetland, what do we call them, posts, right? Wetland
Yeah,
posts
delineation.
Delineating the edge of the wetlands.
I thought it was previously.
The wetland line, I mean,
Yeah,
that's up to
so
you
there'll
if
be
you
no
want that.
future encroachment.
I'm sorry?
So there'll be no future encroachment into the area if we have you put up a marker.
Oh, yeah, 'cause this is from 2000.
I'm sorry, so from this, if we're altering the existing property now, right? And you don't want it any future
To go
encroachment?
further.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a one-time shot, is what you're saying. Okay.
Okay,
Can we go in the future, right, even if I don't own the property, could they go away from the away from the wetlands?
So essentially, your home, the majority of it is
It's
within
there,
100-foot
yeah.
buffer zone, so that's still subject to our jurisdiction.
Yep.
Unless you like adding over towards the paved drive,
Yep.
you know,
That's
then
what I was
that would be
talking about.
where it's outside of our jurisdiction.
Okay.
But I do have a question. So is this
Yes.
all pre-existing lawn area?
Yes.
That, okay, and it's
Yep.
a slope, because I don't see, there, we don't have topography on this.
I know,
And it's
yeah.
from 2004, so it makes it hard
Yep.
for me to understand what is actually there right now, because nature grows
Right.
back.
So it is, just by eye,
Yeah.
not having it surveyed,
Yeah.
it is, let you look up, it's level,
Level?
right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
Yep.
because as long as it's not like a pitch,
no,
because that's what we were dealing with.
it's not pitch, yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that's not previously disturbed area? There's
no.
trees?
So the trees overhang the property right now? Not the dwelling, but
So
the,
you're
you know,
not cutting trees?
Not cutting trees, no.
Okay, it just looks like
Yeah,
that area is all trees.
it's very close, but it's not, yeah, the picture's distorted, yeah.
Okay, no
Yeah.
trees being cut.
Yeah.
And is the dimension 33 feet from, is that the lot line, or is that the buffer zone?
The lot line, I believe, yep.
Wait, where is it?
Yeah, I believe that's a lot line on that
Where's the
photo.
water? Where is the water?
So if you're looking at
It
it,
is, I thought it was over here somewhere.
so if you're looking at it like this, so like that's that orientation, is that.
Okay, so that area from there to there
It's pretty,
is this dimension, right?
33 feet away.
Okay, not cutting trees, and,
You know, he's saying he's not cutting trees, but he may have to trim some trees.
Well-
I mean, that would be in the event that they're
Right
making
to
a,
work.
making a mess, or, there's nothing in the way at the moment. So basically, if you look at at this drawing, so coming out of the 30 feet is actually coming out of an inside corner, so we're coming
Yep.
out only 16
Right.
beyond the existing home.
Right.
Yeah.
is that a full basement?
But that's what I'd like to do, is a basement.
Okay, well. Any questions?
No.
Self-explanatory.
Public comment? Hearing none? Can I get a motion to close?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and this is an IDA, so,
I move we issue a -3 with comments in tonight's meeting.
okay, I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, please note that any person aggrieved by this decision has a right of appeal within 10 business days. Please contact our office or DEP if you need assistance.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Careful building, thank you.
Okay, moving on. There's another RDA, 125 Oldham Street, Joe Webby. Webby Engineering, but he's not here.
It doesn't look like Joe Lee.
What happened?
Joe Webby, number 3. Good evening. I'm here
Joe
with-
got out of here while the getting was good,
Yeah,
huh?
he plays cards on Thursday night, so he wanted to get out of here.
I'm gonna give him so much
So,
detail.
Yeah, Joe Webby,
please state
I'm
your
here
name.
Joe Webby, I'm here with the applicant, Pembroke Road. We're at 125 Oldham Street. Basically, a brief overview of the project is they're renovating this
Yes, can you
existing.
take the microphone, please? Thank you.
So a brief overview of the project. They're renovating the existing home here. And as part of the process, they'd like to remove, basically, essentially turn it into a walkout in the back. So they're going to be removing some material here, off the site. It's a previously degraded area. We're proposing, right along the tree line here, basically from the shed around to this retaining wall, a silt sock for erosion control. I know this detail says an 18-inch one, but we'll probably do a 12. And then they're going to be constructing basically a large 3-season room, above that. So they've hired PA Landers to basically come and remove the gravel. So The idea is, daily that's gonna be getting removed from there, basically, and then they're just gonna flatten out this area, and that's about it. There's appears to be a brook running through here. On GIS, it basically shows it not in the location where it is, and then there's a small BVW associated with it back there. So we're approximately 55 feet from the BVW and about 58 feet, 57 feet from the brook.
I have a couple questions, if that's okay. Do you have any questions first?
Well, you're only partly in the BVW. It's previously disturbed. You're going to be on sonotubes. And I thought the silt socks shown were further away than they could be closer to the
Closer or further away
project.
from what?
Excuse me?
Closer or further away from?
Closer to the project, further away from the wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, we could tighten it up a little bit, but basically where this P33 is, that's basically the limit of the grading there. There's not gonna be too much removal in that area, so I mean, they could tighten it up a little bit.
Where is the material that's being removed being?
So the idea is, so there's a big paved driveway here. We have a material
Yeah.
stockpile area over here, far away from the wetlands. The idea is that we're not gonna be, storing large amounts of material for any period of time, but, in the event, it gets to be the end of the day and maybe this is where we would stockpile it, over there.
What about the soil that's removed, though? You don't
No,
have-
there won't be a lot.
Yeah, it's leaving the
Sonotubes.
site. It's going to,
Okay.
The stockpile area, when used, needs to be encompassed by a silt sock of some sort. It's gonna be on the asphalt, that tends to let it run even.
yeah, well, it's just off the asphalt over here. There's a stone wall that runs along the property line there, and then there's a, retaining wall here. So we have it kind of, cornered between those two things in the.
If there's
in the-
any question, put silt sock.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We should maybe put a little bit
Along
on
the
that
back?
side.
Yeah.
We can have a truck come and
Yeah, they were saying that we have to put you might need a little more silt sock behind the material pile.
Okay.
Well, conservation posts on the cases of whatnot after the project is done.
Yeah, I was thinking of that, but
What about along the P33?
Yeah, you can see what, you can see now.
Yeah, sorry, we need magnifying lenses, Andy.
That's why I put the plan right there for you.
Do you want me to pull it?
No, I couldn't see it anyway. Not with this, I need a whole lot of light to see things.
Sorry for the noise, everybody. Is that better though? Can you see better there?
I can see, but, no, it's just that where they're needed, we should at least keep constant with each project.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that if we did conservation markers along the P33,
No, it's supposed to be on any and all projects we participate in that are in that area.
Okay?
yep. I'll agree with that.
So everybody's treated the same.
yeah, because it's. pretty much-
Conservation markers, 4x4 posts.
Yep.
With no activity beyond this point.
Yeah, so we can revise the plan to show, four
Yep.
posts, no
Visible at
activity.
25 feet
Pressure
roughly.
treated, a foot high.
Yeah, we should have a detail for the ones that you use. So
Okay.
4x4,
Good.
pressure treated, foot high, yep.
With a
Yep.
marker on it that's visible.
Sounds like a plan.
And just to clarify, that only has to be within the buffer, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Good.
we don't want to have to like, we don't want you marking like.
Yeah, because that's 100 foot
Like just to
right
the
there.
100-foot buffer line,
Yep,
we would put those markers, so along the P33 to the 100-foot
Okay.
edge.
yep.
So we don't want to, you know, overtake anything that's not within our jurisdiction.
Okay.
Yep, sounds good. Any other questions?
No.
Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
All, you second. It's,
He
you made the
seconded. I made
motion,
it.
he
He
seconded.
seconded. Now you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we need motion for
I move that
conditions
we
in
go-
-3.
What is it, RDA?
Yeah.
Yep,
We issue a -3 with the comments from tonight's meeting.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's done.
Do your,
Thank
do
you.
your little thingy, your doodad.
Oh, yeah, I didn't get to that.
Disclaimer.
Congratulations.
Please note that any person aggrieved by this decision has a right of appeal within 10 business days. Please contact our office or DEP if you need assistance. Is
I'll
that,
take it.
Sorry,
okay.
Bob. Let me just leave stuff all over.
Moving on to approval of meeting minutes. Anyone have any questions about the meeting minutes
Meeting minutes of March 6th.
of March 6th, 2025?
I move we accepted the
Okay, second.
minutes of March 6th,
Oh,
2025.
okay.
As written. Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Done. Okay, we got a certificate of compliance.
Yes, this is for 11 Furnace Road, DEP number SC 056-1100. There is a
Yep.
as-built there for you to take a look at.
Yeah, we have a letter
And there's a
from
letter
Joe
from Joe
Webby.
Webby. The site's been,
that,
the
we
site's been
find-
inspected twice, once by Joe Webby
Yep.
in preparation with the letter, and once by me.
Okay.
I move we issue a certificate of compliance for 11 Furnace Road, SE 56, something.
Gosh,
Okay.
11. What was
We
it?
get it.
Hold on. Wait.
1100.
See, 56, 1100.
Okay, so they say the work is completed,
Yes.
and I'll accept that. And you just made the motion.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and finally, you've got a request for an extension for an order of conditions. This is for 300 Center Street.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, 300 Center Street, DEP number SC 056-1082. They request an extension for 3 years. Do I have a motion to
I'd
extend?
like to ask the reservation, is there a good reason why? Just that they aren't ready to do it?
Well, it's 300 Center Street, and they need to do a new septic system there, so they came before you for that, and it's currently for sale. So I can't speak to, there may be some issues with the sale and who pays for the septic or whatever. I don't know what that issue is, but it's not unusual to extend a order of conditions for 3 years.
I'd like to just red flag that whole thing in the fact that there's also a drainage easement on that lot that's, the town needs to,
Maintain.
well, we need to have it recorded correctly and all. It's not where it's supposed to be. You
Gotcha.
know, and now's the time, before the people that own the place were reluctant to go ahead, but this is the time when the iron's hot, strike and get it put
You get it put
where
where
it's supposed to be, yeah.
Well, if any work is to be performed outside of this septic system, any other work, they're gonna have to come to you.
Yeah, well, it's the drainage system not being where it should be when the town put it in. Town put it in years ago, other than where the easement was granted.
So this is a Joe Diudi thing. We have to reach out to Joe to
Yeah, right, in other words, we
initiate
need to,
that?
It's,
It's not
we
this.
tried to do it one time and the people balked after wanting to
Right.
do it at that time.
Okay, I remember
Oh,
that.
okay.
Like 15 years.
Okay.
Okay.
I move we issue a extension for 100 Center Street, SE 56, and I don't remember the numbers that well,
1082.
but, for a period of 3 years.
3 years.
Do I get a second?
Second, Rick.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. Motion to
Okay.
close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.